Now, from Wish TV, your local news source, this is All Indiana Politics.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics on this Sunday. We start this week with the race to be Indiana's next Secretary of State. For the first time since he won the Republican Party's nomination, we're going one-on-one with Diego Morales. Diego Morales, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So listen, I got a lot to get to, so I'm going to jump right in, okay?
Sure.
I'm going to ask you some tough questions here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
A lot of people, especially your opponent and some of the national publications, have called you an election denier, somebody who denied the fact that Joe Biden won the presidential election. Your response to that, and did Joe Biden win the election?
You know, I've been clear on this, Phil, that Biden is the president. He's the legitimate president. He's in the White House, although I did not vote for him, and I believe he is doing a horrible job. But he is the president, and he's in the White House.
So your response to your Democratic challenger when she calls you that?
You know, I'm focusing on my campaign, crisscrossing all 92 counties, meeting with Hoosier voters, learning from them. You know, honestly, I have no time for what the other side are doing. My sole focus is learning and visiting with Hoosier voters in all 92 counties.
Do you believe the election, though, was stolen from Donald Trump?
As I said, President Biden is in the White House. He's the legitimate president.
Okay, fair enough. That being said, to further that question, not specifically that question, but in regards to elections, do you believe there is fraud when it comes to elections?
You know, I believe with irregularities, but I'm happy to tell you that Indiana is running great elections. I've been meeting with county clerks, and we've been fortunate enough that for the past over 20 years we have great leadership from former secretaries of state, such as Secretary of State Ed Simcox or Tad Rokita. And my job is to build it from there. I cannot speak on behalf of other states, obviously. My focus is Indiana. So my goal is to build it from where the leadership have left off and take it to the next level.
Do you think Indiana's elections are secure?
Yes, they are. You know, we're running good elections here in Indiana, and my job is to continue to secure it and make it even better.
Well, that being said, so what would you, if you are elected, what would be your plans to secure it and make it better, as you say?
We are going to continue to strengthen voter ID laws. Under Secretary of State Tad Rokita, he introduced the very first photo ID laws, and I would like to expand it from there. I'd like to continue to strengthen from them. Number two, I'd like to continue to focus on cleaning the voter rolls, the voter file list. But there is more than just elections, as you know. Under the business division, one of my goals as a small business owner myself is to help small business owners and make the InBiz portal a truly one-stop shop for business owners in Indiana. Under the auto dealers division, we can extend the title plates efficiently, and under the securities division, we would like to focus. I would like to focus on financial literacy, as well as on helping, seniors to avoid any types of scam. So those are the four responsibilities under the office, the Secretary of State's office, and that's something that I've been talking day in, day out, 7 days a week.
Another topic that I want to get into is Governor Eric Holcomb. Your thoughts on the job he's done, and is he effective as a governor, especially a governor of Indiana?
You know, something that I like to focus is economic development, and that's, if you heard me, I focus that on making the InBiz portal a one-stop shop. The governor is doing a great job. Look at the economic development. Look at all the jobs that he's attracting to Indiana, and that's something that I like to help the administration to continue to attract more jobs, therefore creating prosperity for Hoosiers.
There's been a lot of talk about your military background. You want to maybe clear that up a little bit?
I'm glad you asked. You know, I'm so proud to have served, in the U.S. military. When I came to America as a legal immigrant, you can hear my name is Diego Morales. Mm-hmm. You cannot get more Hispanic, more Latino than my name. I came here with nothing. I knew zero English. I had all the challenges against me, the culture barrier, the language barrier, everything. I started from scratch. But Hoosiers were so kind to me. They welcomed me with open arms. my family and I will settle down by the Ohio River in Clark County, Indiana. I say, I'm a little biased, you know. I grew up in the best small town in America, Salisbury, Indiana. And I went to Silver Creek High School, and the town was so kind to me. So I look forward to give back, and the best way was to serve in the military. So with the green card in my wallet, I volunteered, and I was ready to be called upon if needed. So I'm proud to have served, and I'm proud of my record serving in the military. We obviously released our, military records. I'm honorably discharged, and I'm so proud of my, not only my service, but also to all the veterans out there, to all my brothers and sisters helping in whatever shape or form. They are willing to give back to this great country just the way I did.
Well, I thank you for your service. Why did you leave the military?
So first of all, I signed up for 3 years the first year, and then I re-up for 2 more years. That's the contract that you actually sign, and then you're free to go, right? So as I said, those are the type of things that many times people who do not serve in the military, perhaps respectfully, may not understand. You sign a contract for specific years, and then it's up to you if you want to re-up for more years. Some people decide to even do 20 years. That's when they obviously, after serving 20 years, they get all the full benefits and everything. Again, in my case, I simply sign up to give back and show my love and gratitude to America and Indiana.
I have one more question for you before I let you go. Thank you so much again for taking some time and coming in today. You had this job before. Why do you want it again?
Oh, that's a great question. When I had the opportunity to work for my longtime friend, Todd Rokita, I learned from him, and I've been learning from county clerks. I've been preparing myself for this job. But the main reason why is because this is my only way to give back to Indiana and America that has given me everything. Feel humbly, I'm living the American dream. Coming to America with nothing, with all the challenges. I was working at least 2 jobs to pay for my college education, to pay for my MBA, again, volunteer in the US military, work in state government, just as you describe it. And of course, a small business owner. You tell me if that's not the American dream. So I'm running to protect that precious American dream for the next generation of Hoosiers, specifically for the minority community. I'm a proud Hispanic American, and what I've been doing, I've been going to the Latino Expo, to the Black Expo, to register voters. I want more minorities to get involved, and most specifically within my own community here, if they see a Latino, perhaps not good, to become the next Secretary of State, they can say, well, if Diego is able to do that, despite of all the challenges coming here as a legal immigrant with nothing, starting from scratch, I can do that. I can be the next mayor, the next congressman, perhaps the next president. So I'm just trying to open the doors and create hope here for the next generation of Hoosiers. It's never been about me. It's always been about Indiana and America and giving back. I like to say that I love Indiana and America with all my heart, and I'm going to continue to give back.
Diego Morales, thank you so much for coming in today. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you.
And coming up, a state judge blocks Indiana's new abortion law from being enforced. So what happens next? That's next on All Indiana Politics. And welcome back to All Indiana Politics on this Sunday as we turn now to Indiana's new law banning nearly all abortions across the state. Attorney General Todd Rokita wants the state Supreme Court to immediately step in to the legal debate. In the emergency appeal filed Friday, Rokita argues the urgency of this matter cannot be overstated, he says, whether Section 1 of the Constitution confers an enforceable abortion right affects pregnant women, the unborn, and enforcement of state laws. He goes on to say, while the trial court's preliminary injunction remains in effect, state laws essential for protecting unborn children cannot be enforced. The lives of the unborn will be terminated. The filing came about 24 hours after a special judge blocked the enforcement of the new abortion ban. Camila Fernandez has a reaction.
We see this injunction as a victory. We know this is not the end of the fight.
A special judge has granted a preliminary injunction stopping the enforcement of the new abortion law temporarily. The ACLU sued to block the abortion ban. They say the Indiana Constitution includes a right to privacy and to make decisions on whether to have children. But the judge wrote in her ruling that whether a right to privacy exists in the state constitution is an open question. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita said he plans to appeal the decision.
We feel strongly that the Indiana Constitution does protect a privacy right, which safeguards these type of intimate and important procreative decisions.
However, the court found also that the plaintiff's argument that, for example, the delicensing of abortion clinics violated the Constitution was not likely to succeed. And so they're going forward on the privacy claim alone.
Planned Parenthood in Indiana says it has resumed abortion care services. According to the interim CEO, Rebecca Gibran, the abortion law has negatively affected women in the state.
People who live in Indiana had to travel great distances to access an abortion. And in some cases, there were probably people who did not get the abortion that they needed because of those barriers to access care.
But Indiana Right to Life says they do not agree with the suspension.
Very disappointing, very saddening news today. It means abortion clinics will just continue business as usual in the state of Indiana. And it means that 161 unborn babies now will die from abortion every single week in the state of Indiana. We are confident the state will prevail. We're hopeful that this injunction will be brief, but the fact remains that every single day now that goes by with this law being blocked is a day when lives are going to be lost in our state. And that's the real tragedy here.
The group says they're hopeful that the blockage will be brief. Camila Fernandez, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
All right, coming up, we bring in Indiana's best political team to talk abortion and the Secretary of State's race next on All Indiana Politics. And welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome back two members of Indiana's best political team, Democrat Laura Beck and Abdul Hakim Shabazz, publisher of IndyPolitics.org. Good to see you both. Let's start by talking about that interview with Republican Secretary of State candidate Diego Morales. Abdul, we'll start with you this week. Has he done enough to shake the label of election denier?
Well, here's the issue with Diego Morales. This whole concept with the election denying, with being fired from the Secretary of State's office, with spending $43,000 on a campaign vehicle, kind of backtracking on early voting, and now this military controversy. It seems like every other week there's another shoe dropping. And the issue is there are a lot of Republicans out there who are still undecided. This doesn't mean those Republicans are going to go vote for Destiny Wells. They could vote for Jeff Moore, the Libertarian. So either way, 50 days out from election, this is not good for Diego Morales. He needs to find a message and stick with it, and hopefully there's not another controversy out there, but I doubt that very likely.
Laura?
Well, I mean, Abdul basically, took what I was going to say. But I would say that he's completely right. I mean, you want to be at this stage of the game, you want to be on your message. You want to be getting out and doing all the things you need to do. He does not in this position. He's not coming at it from a position of strength. And frankly, he's just not fit to be Secretary of State. I think it's abundantly clear. Destiny Wells is abundantly qualified and is ready to step in on day one. The other challenge, I think, too, that Diego Morales is having is that because the convention and the way things went down at the convention, that was a contested convention. And so, as Abdul said, there are people who are not going to be supportive of him. But at the same time, when you run against people, they have opposition research on you. And so it may not just be Democrats who are putting out the oppo, it may be Republicans as well.
And that takes us to our next question. A lot of controversy about his military record. I asked him about it. The allegations, though, is he overstating his military service, Laura?
Well, I mean, I think the allegations and I think the information that he's trying to put out there, the voters can make that decision. They can make that decision. But what it also speaks to is when people embellish their records, it leads you to question what else are they embellishing and what else are they not being completely upfront about. And that is something that goes to speak to the character of someone who wants to run elections in the state. So that's always a challenge. It's a perception issue. And it's something that sticks with you because every time he gets asked about it, he has to explain it. And every time you're explaining, you're not winning.
Abdul?
Well, like I said, with the military issue, here's an interesting question that would love to, if I get a chance to talk to you, I will actually ask him. How long did you actually serve? Because when you signed up for the National Guard, you signed up for 8 years. He said he only served 5, but only got credit for like 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also the way that he was released from the military, that's not the way normal military folks are released from the military. So once again, it opens up more questions. And in the Indianapolis Star call by James Briggs, when he asked, like, hey, so what happened with your service? Like, well, you have to ask the Department of Veteran Affairs. Like, come on. I mean, we're 50 days out from the election.
Right.
We should not be having these conversations.
Right. Another topic I want to get to, because we only have so much time here, is the abortion debate. A judge, as you both very well know, has blocked enforcement of the law, and the Attorney General wants the Supreme Court to now step in. Laura, the order seemed pretty clear with several references to a right to privacy and bodily autonomy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And I think what this does a couple of things. On one end, what this does is, again, we are less than 50 days out, and we are continuing to talk about abortion, and that's not an issue that Republicans win on. I always say when Republicans start talking about rape, that means they're losing, and that goes back to 2012 with Richard Murdoch. But I also think that it's not an issue necessarily that they even want to be talking about heading into the midterms. You've got a lot of federal controversy swirling out there with what Lindsey Graham has proposed. You've got more people who have registered to vote who are women who have updated their registrations. And then you also are looking at this ambiguous law. The law itself is pretty ambiguous and it's not clear. And so that is creating issues as well. So for Republicans, this is not really a good position to be in going into these elections, in my opinion.
Abdul, your response to what Rokita did on Friday? We'll let you get that later on.
Basically, what I thought about the judge's opinion was this was not a liberal, progressive, activist judge. So the line that this is a judge, making laws, well, interpreting law, that criticism doesn't fly. This is an Owen County judge who was also a candidate for the Court of Appeals. And when she said, in her opinion, about bodily autonomy, that's the line that did it for me. Because in that bodily autonomy, with a case back, I want to say back in 1991 of all things, that tells me that there's a right to privacy, at least the judge interpreted in the Constitution. Now, what the Supreme Court decides to do, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But lately, the Attorney General hasn't had the best of luck in court these days.
Well, that being said, Abdul, what are the chances that the Supreme Court tosses the law completely?
That, my friend, if I could predict, I'd be the lottery winner right now.
Yeah, I agree. But you are the lawyer. So I'm asking you, what do you think?
I think the court will take it under advisement, like they always do.
Yeah.
And I think they'll reach a thoughtful, rational decision. That's the best I can give you right now, my friend.
Okay, Laura.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I think the closer this gets kicked toward the election, the more it's going to galvanize people. And it may not, for Republicans, it could put some of them in a very sticky situation, particularly those of them who are in somewhat swing districts in suburban areas.
I know you both can't predict what exactly is going to happen, but here's something I think we can kind of, I guess, wonder about. Will we have an answer before Election Day, Laura?
That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
The court schedules don't always work on the schedules that the election schedule is, so I don't know the answer to that. But again, as we get closer and closer, I think it's going to definitely put a spotlight on that. And
Abdul, 30 seconds left. Close us out, sir.
I think we'll have an answer on the preliminary injunction, which I think, but also remember with preliminary injunctions, to grant a preliminary injunction, that means you have a good chance of winning when it comes to a full injunction. So we need to keep that in mind. I think we will have a decision by Election Day.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. And of course, this is going to definitely impact the elections, no doubt about that. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Take all Indiana politics on the go with you. Download our podcast now. part of the All Indiana Podcast Network and allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
And thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics this week. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. We'll also be watching everything that happens at the Supreme Court on the injunction blocking Indiana's abortion ban. We'll see you online over at wishtv.com and, of course, right here on Wish TV throughout the week. Have a great rest of your week.